What's going on, guys? It is Royalty Crypto here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a coin that was suggested by one of my subscribers, and that is Phala Network. And also, guys, I just feel like I need to come on here and be a bit of like a crypto therapist for you guys today. I know it's hard emotionally when the market is tanking like it is right now, but I have a lot of very bullish points to share with you guys that might help you out a little bit emotionally. So without further ado, let's get right on into this video. So when we take a look at Phala Network, it is an AI coin, so the narrative is fantastic in my opinion. However, this is a very small market cap play. So when you're looking at a coin with a market cap that's, under 50 million like this, you really do have to understand that it is a massive risk investing in a coin like this. However, the higher the risk, the higher the potential reward, and that is definitely what we see with this coin. So basically, guys, like any money that you invest into a coin like this, you have to be willing to, lose every dime of it at basically any given second. However, I do believe that for a small market cap coin, this one does have very solid tokenomics and basic fundamentals. So when you take a look at the fully diluted market cap of this coin, it is 53.83 million. So there isn't too much inflation on the coin in particular. It also has pretty high volume for a market cap this small at $11.5 million in the past 24 hours. So that is fantastic to see. And when I look to give a price prediction on this coin, you really do have to look at the market cap rather than the price, because you can see that the all-time high on this coin was $1.15. However, there was much less tokens in circulation at that time, so I don't think it'll ever get back to that level. I mean, it is possible, but when you look at the actual market cap, guys, you can see that the all-time high on this coin was actually in December of last year, and it did get to a $340 million market cap. So, I mean, say you were to invest at this price here, at this market cap of 43 million, and it got back to $340 million. I mean, that's a massive return right there. That's nearly like an 8x, I believe, quick math. I don't think anybody would be complaining about that. So if I were to give best case scenario for this project, I would go ahead and say maybe a $500 million market cap. So that would be, a little bit more than a 10x, probably about 11 or 12x there. So that'll be my price prediction for this project. Also, one thing I did want to note about this chart, you can see that this project really does just kind of trend sideways to down, kind of like what we're seeing right now. And then out of nowhere, when the market starts to perform, it has these very, very parabolic pumps. You can see that that happened back in March of 2024 when the market was very hot. And it also happened during the Trump rally last year in December. So if the market does get hot again, which I do think it will, I can't necessarily, pin a certain date on that, but I think within the next couple of weeks to months it will get very hot again, and yeah, we could see another parabolic pump for this coin. You definitely can't rule that out. Another thing I did want to take a look at is just the X page for this coin in particular. Right off the bat, I feel like this coin does look very, professional. It has a nice logo, an interesting header there, and it does have 140,000 followers, so that is fantastic to see. It's also followed by some, very well-known crypto influencers in the space: Kyle Chaussee, Virtual Bacon, Crypto Millie. He's a bit of a smaller influencer, but I personally like him quite a bit. And Crust Network, which is a somewhat large, actually it's a small cap storage play, but nonetheless, guys, it's nice to see they have some credible people following them. And you can also see that they are somewhat active on their X account still, which is very good. They don't get a ton of attention nowadays on their posts. However, that could potentially change if we go into a crypto market. So now I want to talk about a couple of things, guys. Everybody in the market is very fearful right now. Yeah, so this hasn't updated just yet. It will update in about 2 hours from now. And I do expect this to drop much more. We'll probably be down in like the high 20s for the fear and greed index when this updates. So in my opinion, guys, you need to be buying into the fear here. I don't really understand why the market is so fearful. I think it really does just come down to the fact that prices have been going down. And when prices go down, people get very scared, to say the very least. And, I see a lot of people calling for a potential start of a bear market, all that. But guys, we had so many positive things for the macro happen yesterday. We had a rate cut. We had an announcement of quantitative tightening coming to an end December 1st, which is incredibly bullish. Like, people don't realize how bullish that is, I feel like. Also, we had a very positive conversation with Trump and China officials on the tariff situation. So it's very likely that we'll see some, set in stone tariff deals with China in the coming days to weeks, which is yet again just more clarity for the market. And that's something that we've been looking for all year. So the fact that the market isn't up on this news is very suspicious, in my opinion. And it does seem like there is most likely some manipulation, which I will talk about later in this video. The news in the FOMC meeting that everybody was terrified about is the fact that Jerome Powell had come on stage, and I'm actually going to go over to this tweet here. He came on stage and he did mention that, it's not a certainty that we will be seeing another rate cut in December. But guys, of course he's going to say that. That's always been Jerome Powell's MO. He's never been a dovish Fed president. Like, he seriously always has to go on stage and be hawkish. And that's again what he's doing right now. But in my opinion, I think it's more than likely that we will end up seeing that rate cut in December, and I'm really not buying into what he was selling in that meeting. I think that, there's some political tension going on between Jerome Powell and President Trump, and I think that he's kind of purposely keeping the market down right now. But guys, the good thing is we only have to deal with Jerome Powell for the next, 7 months or something, because his term ends in May. And I guarantee you that whoever Trump appoints to be his replacement is going to be very dovish. Yeah, guys, worst case scenario, maybe we just have to deal with this for a couple more months. But nonetheless, you have to pay attention to what's happening behind the scenes. And this really sums it up here. We got everything that we wanted yesterday, guys. We got the 25 basis point rate cut. Trump and Xi, I believe is how you pronounce it, are friends again. That's fantastic. China is buying soybeans. Thank God, right? That's what everybody was terrified about 2 weeks ago. Tariff threat seems almost non-existent. Now, I wouldn't go as far as saying that it's non-existent, but it is definitely, we're in a much better spot now. And Solana and Hype ETFs are coming around the corner, and some have actually already been approved. So this is what you guys should be focused on right now. Not the prices going down, not the manipulation that we see in this market 24/7. Focus on this. And also, going back to what I was talking about with Jerome Powell being a bit hawkish on the December meeting. Guys, it's a 75% chance that we're going to see another cut in December based on the prediction markets, and it is trending higher. So I guarantee you by the time we get to mid to late November, this will probably be back up to like 90 to 95% chance, and I do think that we will see the cut. So just don't worry about that too much. All right, guys, now when it comes to the manipulation, I wanted to play a clip from a video that I recorded on Monday and posted on YouTube. You guys can go back and find this if you'd like. But just listen to what I said here. And let me show you guys something else that I think is very interesting. So when you take a look at the 2-week chart on Bitcoin, you can see that we actually do have quite a bit of bulls starting to bet that the price of Bitcoin is going to go up again. So I could definitely see a scenario, guys, and this is not necessarily a bearish case. It's more just a short-term bearish thing, is that tomorrow, if the FOMC meeting doesn't go as positively as people want, there is a possibility that Bitcoin could have a bit of a long liquidation event that could bring us to as low as 103,000. Now, I definitely don't think that we're going to go that low, but it is possible. It's also possible that we could revisit like the 106, 108, 110 range. Okay, do you guys hear that? That's exactly what we are experiencing right now. So basically, when you look at the market, you can never be certain on short-term moves. If somebody tells you that they 100% know what's going to happen tomorrow in the markets, they are lying to you. However, you have to look at the market in terms of probabilities, right? And that's exactly what I was talking about in this video on Monday. I said that there was a 70% chance that we were going to go up because of all the incredibly bullish macro events that were coming. However, that's not what happened. We actually did the 30% chance of going down and ended up liquidating all of the people that got a little bit too bullish and started to bet on leverage. And guys, that's exactly what I talk about when I'm talking about manipulation. These whales and exchanges have a vested interest to bring the price of Bitcoin down when people are betting insane amounts on leverage, because they can then go ahead and scoop up those low prices. And you know that whales and exchanges, they love to accumulate for the long term. They don't listen to the noise, the daily noise like retail traders. So that's exactly what happened. Now, when you take a look at this chart, guys, we do have a lot of long liquidations down below this given price that we are at right now. We have a ton at 106,000. We have quite a bit at 104,000. We have some at 103,000. So it is possible that we could see further downside in the coming days for Bitcoin. So I would go ahead and say that there is definitely a chance, especially with all this bearish sentiment, that we could see a dip for Bitcoin back down to about 103,000, but I do think that we will hold the $100,000 range. So if that does happen, I'm not telling you to get terrified and run around like a chicken with its head cut off and, cry in the comment section. No, it's just how the market works, and it's just a buying opportunity at the end of the day. So guys, just try not to be too scared of, the daily moves with Bitcoin and crypto. We are investing in potentially the most volatile asset class that there is. So you have to be able to stomach these ups and downs. And if you can't handle the downs, then you don't deserve to, have the massive upside potential in this space. All right, so the last thing I wanted to briefly talk about, I know this has kind of been a longer video, is the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum and the overall S&P 500. So as you can see here, Bitcoin is all the way back down to 107,600. It does seem like it is trying to find a bottom here, and I can't guarantee that we have found a bottom at 106,000, but it is possible. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the bottom. And if that is the case, when you zoom out, on like the monthly chart, it is actually a higher low. I mean, back in October 25th, we got all the way down to 103,500. So if we do end up, cementing this higher low at 106,000, we're not in a bad spot. I mean, we're starting to form that uptrend from that bottom. So we'll see if that does hold. Again, guys, there's no guarantees in this market, but you have to buy into the fear, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Also, I'm not going to talk too much about Ethereum, but Ethereum is down to 3,770. And, Ethereum basically follows what Bitcoin does, so I'm not surprised by this weakness here. Nonetheless, though, guys, I am still very bullish on Ethereum. I still think that within the next couple of months, we will create a new all-time high on Ethereum. And yeah, I think that we just really need to get through this negative sentiment and get to, the quantitative easing that the Fed said is coming soon, because that will definitely help. Also, the S&P 500. We have basically been hitting new all-time highs every single day. So unlike crypto, it has been a very bullish past couple of months on the S&P 500. And I mean, you can see that we have really just been going parabolic basically all year for the most part. We are down just a little bit today, but I mean, you have to expect these short-term dips. And I do fully expect that, once the S&P 500 does decide to slow down on these gains, I think people are going to start to move down the risk curve, and that does mean investing into crypto, starting with Bitcoin, trickling its way down to the big caps, the mid caps, and the small caps. So yeah, guys, just don't let your emotions get to you. You got to buy into the fear. That's really the only way that you can win in these markets. But all right, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.